My 32-year-old 32 female brother 35 is irresponsible. He has multiple children with different women and does not support them financially. He's also my mum's favourite. She sees no fault in his actions and believes he is misunderstood. My parents are retired and have a fixed income. I'm financially stable and support them by giving them $500 a month for groceries and bills. Occasionally, I provide additional money for unexpected expenses without any questions. Recently, my mum asked me for $2,000 and I sent it to her. Strangely, I encountered my brother at a family wedding. I'd been informed that he could not afford to attend since it was a destination wedding. This surprised me. As a funny story, my brother actually missed the wedding because he got involved with someone he met during an excursion and went to their resort instead. This upset our cousin, and my aunt had to make special arrangements for him to join the trip since he received the money at the last minute. She believed my mum shouldn't have given him the money if he had no intention of showing up. However, she stopped complaining when she saw my reaction. I enjoyed the wedding and had a great time. Upon returning home, I visited my parents and asked my mum why she needed the $2,000. She lied and said it was for the house, but couldn't provide any specific details. I informed her about what my aunt had said and told both my parents that I wanted receipts for any money I gave them in the future. I'm more than willing to help them, but I refuse to work hard only for my money to be given to my irresponsible brother. My mum started crying, and my dad told me they weren't children and did not have to answer to me. I agreed and left. For 2 months I did not speak to my parents. Yesterday my aunt called me and said that my parents were considering going to the food bank because they had no money. I mentioned that I had given them $2,000 a few months ago, which was more than enough for my family of three's food expenses during that time. My aunt then revealed that they had indeed given my money to my brother. I suggested that he should repay them. She called me a witch. Am I the jerk, Ater? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Honestly, what a painful situation. It's emotional extremist actions almost. Why, if your aunt getting in the middle of this when she can give them money? No, they're not children, but if they're going to be the recipient of goodwill money, they definitely owe you some accountability. And they're going to a good bank, but giving $2K in gifted funds to your bro for a vacation? If you feel these heartstrings pulling you to feel guilt-ridden, buy them groceries. But that still may not help because then it'll free up some of their money to give to bro. Have you ever thought to confront your bro about the fact that his loserdom is causing his parents to be at a good bank? Would he even care? Not the idiot. And I'm sorry you're experiencing this. Comment 2, not the idiot. Money is fungible. Even if the money you give them isn't directly spent on your brother, it still subsidizes him. Every $100 of groceries you give them or they buy with your money just frees up $100 of their money to spend on your brother. They don't even feel guilty about this, as in their eyes, you're the bad daughter for not supporting family, and it sounds like nothing you do will ever be enough. If anything, your involvement helps them ignore your brother's failings as you pay for the consequences. Maybe a couple years of no support contact from you might force them to reconsider how they've treated you both. Comment 3. OP, you're not the idiot your parents are. They've created this monster and now you're supporting him. They're using you as a cash cow. Yes, it's true they don't answer to you, but if you're footing the bill, then they damn well better tell you where the money is going. And your aunt calling you a bee is funny. If she cares so much about your parents, she should be footing the bill. Which I highly doubt. BC people are always one to talk, but never to sign the check. Stand your ground and let them suffer a little so they understand. They won't die over eating some food from the food bank for once. Now for the update. So, after a year of silence and some much-needed therapy, I decided it was time to have a sit-down with my parents. After seeing them struggle, I decided to help out again, but on my terms. I had a lawyer friend draft up a financial agreement where I'd help them with their bills, but only directly to the companies they owed money to, bypassing the risk of my brother getting any of it. After lots of tears, sighs and silence, they agreed. It wasn't an ideal situation for anyone, but it seemed to be the best solution we had. As of now, I've been able to directly pay their bills for about 5 months, and while things have been far from perfect, they've been better. And now for my brother. After many attempts to reach out, I finally got through to him. We had a long, heartfelt talk where he confessed his guilt and acknowledged his mistakes. He seemed sincere and genuinely remorseful, and while I was skeptical, I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's now in a rehab program to deal with his substance abuse issues and has started working part-time at a local store, paying bits off his debts and contributing to his children's needs. He's also attending parenting classes, and we're all hoping it's the start of a real change for him. It's early days, but I'm cautiously optimistic. As for me, I've been working on forgiving my parents and keeping my expectations realistic. I've also started volunteering at the food bank my parents had considered going to, as a way to give back and help others who may be in a similar situation. It's been a long road, and it's far from over, but I'm hopeful we can keep moving in a positive direction. I'm also learning that sometimes tough love is the most loving thing you can do, even if it's painful and complicated. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I applaud your effort to reach out and help your parents financially, despite the past issues that you've had with them. It's evident that you've set up boundaries and safeguards to protect your interests, which is very wise. The fact that you're bypassing your brother in the financial chain shows that you're not ready to fully trust him yet, which is completely understandable considering the history. Also, you're taking steps towards forgiveness, and that's commendable. Not everyone can be big enough to do that. Volunteering at a food bank also shows your compassion towards others in similar situations, which is a very noble gesture. It seems like you're on a path of healing, growth and understanding, which is quite inspiring. Keep going. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but be mindful of the fact that while your brother's remorse and steps towards recovery are positive signs, true change takes time and consistent effort. It's great that you're cautiously optimistic, but remember to protect your own emotional and mental well-being first. Healing is not a linear process, and there will likely be bumps in the road. Be patient with your own progress and emotions, and don't feel pressured to forgive or forget before you're ready. Comment 3. Not the idiot, and your solution to help your parents out financially is smart and empathetic. However, involving money in family relationships can be tricky, and it's important to ensure that this arrangement doesn't become a source of resentment or tension in the future. It's great that you've drawn up a legal agreement, but also maintain open communication about expectations and boundaries. On another note, I admire your resilience and your commitment to helping others through your volunteer work. It's a testament to your strength and character. Keep focusing on your own healing and growth, and remember that it's okay to prioritize your own needs and well-being. Now, for the next story. 2 years ago, my husband and I were doing some renovations to our house. I didn't want my wedding dress to get damaged or lost in the process, which, considering we did lose a few things during the renovation, I was right to be concerned. My friend offered to keep it in her closet until the renovations were done. After we finished the renovations, I asked my friend for the dress back. She kept saying she'd get back to me. I kept asking and she'd make up excuses. I found it weird. Now my sister is getting married and she wanted to wear the dress. This was our mother's dress, and we always agreed we'd each wear it. I told my friend I need it back. She claimed she couldn't find it. I was perplexed because how does it just get up and walk away? She apologized and offered to pay me the cost of the dress, which I turned down because it wasn't about money. The dress was sentimental, and I felt terrible my sister couldn't wear it. My friend and her husband went away. I was there to water their plants and feed their dogs. I decided to go look myself. The closet was very cluttered. I eventually found the dress. I can totally believe that she missed where it was, and she wasn't being malicious in the slightest. The box was tucked behind a few larger ones containing seasonal clothes. I texted her saying, "I found the dress." Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet. I said I just wanted to double-check. She told me I had no right to go through her things. I said that because of her clutter, my sister almost didn't get to wear a dress she always dreamed of. My friend told me that I could have asked her to look again, but I pointed out it took 2 years for her to even look in the first place. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I can totally believe that she missed where it was, and she wasn't being malicious in the slightest. The box was tucked behind a few larger ones containing seasonal clothes. I texted her saying, "I found the dress." Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet. Lol, so interesting that she knew exactly where you rummaged to find this lost dress. OP, I mean this in the nicest way, but you're being naive. She was trying to keep your dress. Simple as that. If all you had to do was go through that closet in her house, it wasn't lost or misplaced. It was exactly where she put it, and she knew that. Not the idiot, but this person isn't your friend. Which, considering we did lose a few things during the renovation, I was right to be concerned. Was your friend over during the renovations? You might need a second chance to rummage at her home before the return. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If I was in your friend's situation and I genuinely couldn't find the dress, then I would frankly have invited you to look around for it while you were in the house doing me a favour. But I also am the type of person who would just assume that someone I trust enough to water my plants and feed my dog is also someone I trust in my space. Snooping is a fairly natural instinct, and you had a specific reason for it. Even if she's legit about not liking that you went through her stuff, she went on the defensive immediately instead of being relieved that you managed to find the dress. That just seems suspicious to me. I would say meeting up with your friend to explain and hear what she has to say might be worthwhile, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the end of the friendship either. Comment 3. Not the idiot to people saying you shouldn't have snooped. She accepted to watching something that means a lot to you, and obviously did not try to find it in the slightest when you kept asking her. Even offered to pay instead of actually looking. That sounds suspicious AF. You did nothing wrong, OP. She had your property and refused to give it back. That is way worse than you looking through her things for it. She is TA. Now for the update. Brace yourselves, folks, because what seemed like a simple case of misplaced wedding dress escalated into a full-blown matrimonial melodrama. Last weekend, my sister was finally able to wear the dress for her wedding. Glowing reviews all round, by the way. Midway through the reception, however, an uninvited guest turned up. The friend who had lost my dress. Apparently, she'd seen the photos on social media, recognised the dress, and decided to crash the party. She stormed in, irate and red-faced, and started making a scene, accusing me in front of everyone of having stolen my own dress back. I wish I was making this up. She demanded compensation for the dress, claiming she'd purchased it from a vintage shop, and that I'd taken it without her permission. The absolute audacity. My husband and I were flabbergasted, but before I could even speak, my sister's new husband stepped in. He calmly asked her if she had any proof of purchase or evidence that the dress was hers. She stuttered, unable to provide any. Just as we thought things couldn't get any crazier, my brother-in-law's grandmother piped up from her wheelchair at the back of the room. Turns out she used to be a seamstress, and she'd been the one who had sewn the dress for my mother back in the day. She even knew the specific type of lace and beadwork used on the dress, details only the maker would know. Granny saved the day. This revelation made our friend backtrack and exit hurriedly, leaving a stunned room in her wake. Since then, we've had no contact with her. But in a complete plot twist, we discovered that she's a local reseller of vintage clothing and had attempted to sell my dress online. I have reported her to the local authorities and am now considering pressing charges for the attempted theft and sale of my property. Suffice to say, we're no longer friends. I never thought my wedding dress would cause this much drama, but here we are. I guess sometimes life just throws you a curveball. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. The protagonist had every right to report the friend to the authorities. It's clear that the friend tried to exploit the situation for her own gain, without considering the emotional impact this would have on the protagonist and her family. The grandmother's reveal only solidified the fact that the dress held sentimental value. The friend's actions were not only deceitful, but also disrespectful. She took advantage of the trust placed in her by attempting to sell a dress that wasn't hers to begin with, and then had the audacity to show up at the wedding and cause a scene. The protagonist's decision to press charges is entirely justified based on the friend's actions. Comment 2. Not the idiot. The friend's behaviour was out of line, not just because she tried to sell something that wasn't hers, but also because she accused the protagonist of theft. Accusations like these can cause serious harm to someone's reputation, and the friend was clearly in the wrong for making such a baseless claim. Moreover, she showed a complete lack of respect for the protagonist's family traditions by trying to sell a dress that was hand-sewn by the groom's grandmother. It is clear that the friend was more interested in profiting off the dress than preserving a cherished family heirloom. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The friend crossed multiple boundaries here. From losing the dress, to showing up uninvited to the wedding, to falsely accusing the protagonist of theft, her actions were clearly irresponsible and disrespectful. It's a tough situation. But the protagonist was left with no other option but to report her friend to the authorities. She was only protecting her family's heritage and their rights. The protagonist is definitely not at fault here. Her friend's actions have shown that she cannot be trusted, and it's sad but necessary that their friendship had to end this way. Now, for the next story. I married my husband last weekend after about a year of planning. The ceremony went off perfectly, even with kids in the church. The formal photos weren't delayed, no one got drunk and wrecked anything. No one insisted on bringing their emotional support goat. The only hitch was that my in-laws invited about 10 extra people without telling us. Not relatives or anything. Just friends of theirs we did not invite since we don't know them. I did not notice them at the ceremony, and it wasn't until the reception that there were issues. There was no seating for them. Our best man and groomsman found a folding table and chairs for them to sit at. There was food. We went with a buffet, but since we sent the tables to eat by number and they didn't have a number, they were sent last after everything had been picked over. My in-laws were embarrassed that their friends were being treated that way. I very politely asked them what they expected when they invited people without telling the people planning and paying for the wedding. They said we needed to go apologize for their treatment. I said I would, but I would also explain that they had not actually been invited. If they wanted their guests told anything else, then they had to go explain. They are upset with me. My husband has my back 100%. I think I could have been more gracious, but I also think it should not have fallen on us to deal with it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If anything, I would apologise to the friends for their not having a table to sit at initially and having to go last to the buffet. But that is because neither you or spouse were aware that they had been invited by in-laws and you hadn't anticipated any additional guests. This way, you get to control the narrative instead of ILs throwing you under the bus and making you look bad instead of admitting their faux pas. They probably sent gifts/cards, so you apologising for in-laws' bad behaviour makes in-laws guilty of humiliating both their uninvited guests and the happy couple. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I don't see how you could have been more gracious. Letting them know that you had no idea they were coming would have explained why they were at a hastily placed table and last to the buffet. This is all on your in-laws, and now you need to be watching for future similar behaviour and nip it in the bud. Hoping not to see AIT for disbanding in-laws' surprise baby welcoming party at our home that I was expected to host when we arrived with newborn from the hospital. Comment 3. Your in-laws are of course entirely out of line and are the jerks here. But the people they invited are also jerks for even showing up. They did not receive an actual invite. Is this their first day on Earth? Do they not know how weddings work? They didn't think it was odd that their invitation was a verbal one from the groom's parents and not a physical paper one sent in the mail by the couple. Not the idiot now, for the update. So the last couple of weeks have been a whirlwind, to say the least. 2 days after the reception debacle, my husband and I decided to take a mini honeymoon to decompress. We had initially planned to postpone it due to work commitments, but after the in-law madness we needed a breather. Just as we were about to leave, we received a text from my sister-in-law. Apparently the in-laws had a family meeting, without us mind you, and decided we should host another reception to rectify the unfortunate misunderstanding. You could have heard my jaw hit the floor from Mars, I swear. I was livid, but my husband, the saint that he is, calmly replied saying we'd discuss it upon our return. We took off, had a lovely time, and almost managed to forget about the drama. Almost. Flash forward to our return, we walk into our apartment to find, wait for it, a second reception fully planned and being set up in our living room by a party planner. The in-laws had somehow convinced our building manager to let her in. I was ready to blow a gasket, but the shock of it all left me speechless. As we're standing there in utter disbelief, the in-laws walk in, all smiles and completely unapologetic, followed by the uninvited guests from the wedding. Turns out they had been informed of the surprise second reception and were just as shocked as we were. My husband finally snapped. He confronted his parents about their total disrespect for our boundaries and decision-making. The verbal showdown was legendary. Even the party planner stopped working to watch. The in-laws, taken aback by my husband's sudden assertiveness, finally backed down and called off the second reception. They even had to explain the whole situation to the uninvited guests who, thankfully, were very understanding and left without much fuss. So in the end, our apartment was returned back to normal. The in-laws have been put in their place and we have inadvertently set some hard boundaries. No apologies were made by us at least, but I think it's safe to say that our in-laws may think twice before pulling a stunt like this again. Oh, and the party planner? She got a decent tip from the in-laws and a good story to tell at dinner parties. So I guess all's well that ends well. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your in-laws clearly overstepped their boundaries. A honeymoon is a sacred time for newlyweds, a time for you to relax and enjoy each other's company, especially after a stressful wedding reception. The fact that they decided to plan a second reception without your knowledge is a clear violation of your privacy and personal space. Although they may have had good intentions, they should have consulted you first. It's your marriage, your reception, your home. They don't have the right to make such decisions on your behalf. It's good that you confronted them and set boundaries. It's a step in asserting your rights as a couple. They need to respect that and understand that they can't just do as they please. Comment 2. Not the idiot. While it can be argued that your in-laws were only trying to make up for the disastrous first wedding reception, the fact remains that they did it without your consent. This is about more than just a reception, it's about respect and communication. They should have communicated their plans with you instead of taking matters into their own hands. It's not about the party planner or the tip, it's about the principle. Your home is your sanctuary and they violated that. It's important to remember that while you are a part of their family now, you also have your own family unit that needs to be respected. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The fact that no apologies were made is concerning. They seem to have acknowledged their mistake by backing down and cancelling the reception. But an apology is a verbal affirmation that they understand their mistake and are remorseful. By not apologising, they're indirectly saying that they don't see their actions as wrong. This could potentially lead to more boundary violations in the future. It's great that you set boundaries, but it's important to enforce them as well. If they continue to disrespect your boundaries, it might be time for a serious discussion about their role in your lives. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.